to for a bit, and then they just take the phone off your hand. Can I do it? The record numbers in the stands. And is Liana joining us on here? Oh, okay. No, it's fine. I was going to thank her in person, but I'll just type her an email. That's cool. She just sent through the ticket numbers.
across the face, and there is Claire Polkinghorne to jam it over the line. Crossing, and Fowler in the back of the net, and it's 2 for Australia.
Brantz, it's great to have you with us as we look inside the Commonwealth Matildas' upcoming fixtures against the USA. I'm joining you from the traditional land of the Wongal people, and I pay my respects to their elders past and present. I extend that respect to the custodians of all the lands from wherever you're joining us from, and of course to anyone of Aboriginal or Torres Strait Islander descent who's with us for our preview. Well, 2 blockbusters coming your way in a couple of days with world #1 team, the US women's national team here in Australia. They look like they've been having a great time. They've been out and about. They enjoyed meeting some kangaroos. And tonight, no doubt celebrating Thanksgiving. So to all our American friends, happy Thanksgiving to you. All the on-field action kicks off this Saturday, 3 p.m. at Stadium Australia in Sydney, and then it's off to Newcastle, where it's an 8 p.m. kickoff on Tuesday at McDonald Jones Stadium. Now, if you are able to make it, get your tickets. Let's make some history with record numbers in the stands. And if you can't get there in person, of course, you can catch all the action on 10 Play and Paramount Plus. Someone who will be on 10 Play and Paramount Plus and soaking up the atmosphere live is former Matilda Grace Gill. She's here to give us her insights tonight. Welcome, Grace. How are you?
Good, Steph. Thank you. It's lovely to be joining you from sunny Canberra.
Well, I can't say the same about Sydney. It's absolutely bucketing down here at the moment, but a feast of football ahead of us after being starved of all that live Combat Matildas action for so long. We're getting spoiled now. We're going to talk about the upcoming matches in just a sec, Grace, but it was only a few weeks ago that we welcomed them home for matches against Brazil. They were hugely entertaining. I really enjoyed them. What did you make of the performances, the 3-1 win and a 2-2 draw?
Yeah, you're right. We are absolutely being spoiled to see the Matildas on home soil in recent weeks, recent months. And those results against Brazil, I think for the Matildas to come away from a 2-game friendly series against Brazil and go through that undefeated, that's incredible. And here we're just getting a look at the Polks celebration, the famous Polk celebration, and just being back in sort of football fans in a football stadium. The crowd was incredible, and to have a few goals was just... the atmosphere was amazing. So in terms of the results, the performance, it was really entertaining. The promising part for this Matilda side is that watching those games, there's still plenty of room for improvement, plenty of room for the girls to build upon those 2 results. And I think that's a really promising thing. It bodes well for this Matilda squad. And I think that's what the group will be focusing on against these 2 games against the USA in the coming week.
Yeah, and a real spread of scorers there. Polk scoring in both games, of course. Mary Fowler with one in the back of the net. Of course, Sam Kerr, M. Van Egmond to round out the scoring. But those next level clashes that we're looking at, Grace, these are next level. USA are the #1 team in the world for a reason. And I just feel like they're going to be looking to bounce back from an Olympic Games that was, well, by their standards, a disappointing one. Would you agree?
Yeah, look, I think that's really fair to say. We know the US women's national team has for years now been, a podium finisher in all major world championship tournaments and very close to it. So yeah, by their standards, absolutely, a 3rd place finish perhaps is just shy of what their expectations were. And I think they'll be looking at some of their on-field performances, have gone away, brought some new faces into the squad, and similar for Tony Gustafsson. The US women's national team will also need to be building upon those performances for their next major tournaments too.
Yeah, because like Australia, the US is looking to find their groove and settle on that side that will take them through to the World Cup in 2023. Tony, of course, has a side that has to go to an Asian Cup in just a couple of months. How close do you think both these sides are to finalising the look of their final 23 players? I know that Tony's been saying 23 for 23, which kind of makes sense.
Yeah, no, that's it's a good one. 23 for 23. Look, it makes sense, and I think the group we're seeing now in this squad, there'll be some really familiar names in 2023, and I think we're pretty close to finalising that, landing that, and coming to that final group of players. both for the women's national team in US and Australia as well. So to answer your question, Steph, I don't think they're far off.
Well, the USA used to be the side that perhaps we respected the most. They're, as you said, always podium finishers. We struggled against them for years until in 2017 we got that breakthrough. Do you feel like that was the watershed moment for the Aussies?
Yeah, look, I really do. I think that 2017 result against the US women's national team was a turning point for the Matildas, and probably what the 1999 World Cup was to the US side. That 2017 result, it signalled a point of difference for the Matildas. I think it instilled some belief in them to prove that they could actually get a result against a world-class side. And I think really to look back on women's football history and see that was the first time the Matildas beat the US women's national team, that was 4 years ago, and we've come such a long way in just those 4 years, and just gone from strength to strength. So yeah, I do think that was a watershed moment for the Matildas, and they're really growing into what we've seen in the last couple of years of a world-class side.
Certainly have. It was great to see Tamika Yallop on the target there, of course. 100th appearance in the next match for Meeks. She'll be the 5th woman this year to reach that milestone, and of course always a fan favourite. We'll talk more about her in just a sec. But first, let's go from a centurion to the debutantes. And here's a reminder of the debuts we saw handed to Remy Siemsen and Briley Henry against Brazil. Take a look.
Double change international debutantes. Remy Siemsen of Sydney FC, great moment for her. Close behind to replace Mary Fowler. It's going to be Briley Henry.
I don't think it's sunk in yet. It's amazing. It's a dream come true.
This is such an exciting time in both their careers. Having played with both of them, they've really earned this.
I'm overwhelmed. It's a complete dream come true for me. Sorry. You can tell by my emotion how much this means to me, and to do it in front of friends and family in my hometown, it's just so special, and I consider myself very honoured and privileged to don the green and gold alongside some of the best players in the world. It's going to be a night I remember forever. I guess it was kind of there, hoping, but I definitely wasn't expecting it at all, so to come on like that is just absolutely amazing. I can't believe it.
Yeah, successful first outing for Sydney FC's Remy Siemsen. She's in pre-season with her club, but at the moment back in the squad for these matches. Joins us now from camp. Remy, welcome to you. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Really well, thank you. Enjoying this rain that we're putting on for our American visitors. But congratulations on another call up to the national team squad. Tell me, how much did you enjoy that debut? Were there any nerves? You look pretty emotional afterwards.
I was definitely emotional. It was very unexpected that I actually got to get onto the pitch. I think I was just embracing every minute of it, and I think I was keeping it together the whole time. And then once after the match, I locked eyes with my parents, and that's when I kind of lost it because it was all kind of settled in by that point. But yeah, it's a night I'll never forget, and I'm very grateful to the coaches that they allowed me that opportunity to debut in front of my friends and family in my hometown. I couldn't have written a better script myself.
It's lovely, Remy, and I choked up watching that, let alone you and your parents. Just seeing that footage is really lovely, and congratulations on that debut. That's just so fantastic, and it's a really deserved opportunity. But tell me, what's sort of this may be getting a little bit far ahead, but are you looking to go overseas, sort of post the next A-League women's season, and what's the next step for you?
Yeah, definitely. I've had a bit of an experience overseas in Denmark in that period between the last camp and the last friendlies back in Australia. And I really enjoyed that time with Fortuna Horring and got to spend time with a lot of Aussie-based girls living it up over there and playing with Fortuna Horring. So it's something I'm definitely looking towards doing, and I really hope that I can go overseas next year and just further my game and have a new experience. And I think that's definitely on the tables at the moment, but haven't locked in anything in just yet. I'm more focused for my A-League women's season at the moment, but I will be looking to go overseas when I can.
There's a great history of Australians playing for Fortuna Hjørring. Remy, did you learn any Danish?
I can't say that I did. A lot of people thought I was Danish because of my blonde hair and blue eyes, but there was no learning of Danish while I was over there.
All right.
Well, we love seeing you playing back and front of the fans here in Australia. Great numbers turning up to watch the match against Brazil. We're expecting even more for the USA games, the world #1 side. Tell us, what is the vibe in camp and the expectations among the players?
We're all really excited to obviously verse world ranked #1 right here on our doorstep. And we know how much the tickets have sold and skyrocketed, and we can't wait to get in front of all our friends and family and fans on home soil. And I think it's going to be a very competitive but a very entertaining match, and we're definitely going into this game wanting to win, so we're going to be doing our best to play at our highest level and hopefully get those 3 points and maybe put on a show for everyone coming out to the games and people watching on TV.
And for you, Remy, sort of what's your feeling about, potentially coming up against a world-class player, the likes of someone like Becky Sauerbrunn, who's, been around the US women's national team for as long as she has? How do you feel about facing off against someone like her?
Yeah, obviously Becky Sauerbrunn's an amazing player. I've watched her over the years in the NWSL, but I just know that I have a job to do, and I just want to go in and do my best when I get on the pitch and not overthink it and just play it simple, keep it simple, and just really enjoy that time and hopefully make an impact in any way, shape or form that I can.
Remy, we've got some questions from some of the fans on social media. So first up for you from Georgie Telfer, favourite ice cream flavour?
I'm pretty basic when it comes to ice cream. So my favourite ice cream flavour would have to be either chocolate or cookies and cream.
Okay, no, they're pretty safe. And I think it's Mackay Lakent 5. What did Tony say to you before you went on for the first time?
Tony was his usual enthusiastic self. He just put all this confidence in me and believed in me and just basically said to enjoy the moment and, don't overthink it. Don't get worried on the pitch. Just do your job well and really enjoy this experience. You deserve this. So, yeah, he was really great right before I jumped onto the field. It was a really good moment between Tony and I and something I will never forget.
Macarolphus wants to know, funniest teammate besides yourself?
I'll take that. I've obviously only been in a few camps, but there's a few characters around the squad. Emily Van Egmont's pretty funny. I was put on her table first day of this camp, and yeah, she's got a good few lines that she pulls out here and there. So yeah, she's up there.
A final one before we move on from Maddie Chaser. Advice for young girls wanting to make it into the Matildas one day like you have?
The best part of advice I've had over the years of playing football was just to work hard when talent doesn't want to work hard, and that's something I've always just been instilled with from a very young age. And I know it's a pretty well-known quote, but it was a coach that actually said it to me when I was 10 years old, and it's really stuck with me. So keep doing the 1%ers behind the closed doors, keep believing in yourself and just enjoy it. Remember why you started out, you enjoyed it and you loved the game, so never lose that. And if you really want to achieve something and you work really hard for it, I have no doubt you can do it.
Remy, before we let you go back to relaxing in your hotel room, they were wise words indeed, but now we're going to put you on the spot. What's your score prediction for Saturday night?
Oh, I'm just going to say a win. That's what I'm predicting. A win for us on home soil in front of all our friends and family and fans. That would top it off. So that's all I'm going to say.
That sounds like a fair shout. Remy, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Good luck for the coming week. Can't wait to see you back out on the pitch.
Thank you so much.
Well, as Remy said, they've been hard at work. That's both on and off the field. Let's have a sneak peek at what they've been up to behind the scenes.
Excuse me, I'm sorry, I'm late. Oh, okay, sorry.
Just look at each
Is this
other.
actually I'm like, stop! Excuse me.
No, don't. Keep it going, man. Keep it going.
isn't it, Grace? One face that we saw there who we know won't be able to take the field after picking up a quad injury is Alana Kennedy, who also apparently couldn't get to her photo shoot on time. And now Tony Gustafsson is really keen to create a World Cup finals atmosphere and let the players feel that cauldron and that pressure. So having Alana out here, her input off the park is going to be valuable, being around the team. How much will she be missed in defence, though?
Yeah, it's a really good question. And Alana's been around this national team setup for the number of years that she has now. So she's a really important part of the side. And we know on the field what she adds in the way of her aerial threats. She's really fantastic, challenging in the air, her set pieces, her attacking set pieces. She loves a set piece sort of play, standing over the ball. So she'll be missed in that aspect. Off the field, she adds a really important component to this Matilda side. Her leadership, her experience. She's played all over the world, and that's really important. But what it does do is then open up opportunities. Football is made up of these moments and these opportunities where Alana's having to sit out, and what it means is that Tony's going to have a look at the girls he has coming in, the squad, and make a decision around formation and personnel.
Yeah, indeed. Well, he's got a couple of new faces that he can call up. We know that Kylie Ross was a late call-up for France in 2019. She'll be raring to go if she gets another opportunity. Exciting time for Jess Nash. Grace, we really enjoyed her efforts in the last club season. She's still so young, but so valuable she was for Canberra United. How do you see her fitting into this setup?
Yeah, I'm really excited about young Jess Nash. She had a fantastic campaign with Canberra United in last season's A-League Women's. She's a really ambitious young player, and for such a young thing, she's got a great head on her shoulders. She's really mature, and she's got these really big aspirations. She wants to captain the Matildas one day, and I think for such a young girl to have such drive and poise about herself, I think that's really important. So for her to be in this environment, whether or not she gets on the field, I think just to be in the environment, to be in the atmosphere, to soak up as much as she can, I think she will be relishing every single moment. And you've mentioned there as well Kylie Ross back, and she's had a really tough sort of 12 to 18 months. She had an injury misdiagnosed, she had some surgeries, and I really feel for her because she's just tried so hard to get back out on the park, and great to see her back in the squad, in the setup, and now it's just about building minutes back into her legs. I don't think she'd have a full 90. I think that would be a little bit dangerous to her to throw her in for that kind of depth when she hasn't yet built that back into her engine, but she has been working so hard off the field, trying to get her fitness back up, and she's so driven as well that I've got no doubt that when she does get given those minutes, she'll do a really good job.
Yeah, excellent. Well, it's nice to see that we've got some of those younger faces there. And of course, it's not only Australia who's looking for Generation Next. We've also got some of the US players that we're looking forward to as well. We've got, you mentioned Becky Sauerbrunn, who she's inching closer to her 200th cap. We mentioned it'll be midfielder Tamika Yallop's century celebration when she takes the field. She had a great game when they beat the USA. Let's see how she reflects on that momentous day.
It was something that was kind of talked about, like we would always go out saying, come on, this is going to be the game, this is going to be sort of the moment that we walk off the pitch and finally have sort of victory over them. So it was definitely something that was talked about, and then to actually go out there and do it and walk off the pitch feeling the satisfaction that we did, it was pretty awesome.
And Australia have the lead with Tamika Butt.
Tamika Butt has the patience to let it drop. So many of us take that ball early and fly it over the crossbar. She lets that one come down. What a nice finish by Butt.
The Matildas are waltzing into history tonight with a big win.
Well, the whole team will be delighted to share in her 100th game. Tamika Yallop, many of whom they played club football with her. And one of them is former Raw teammate Emily Gilnick, and she joins us now. Em, it's a very warm welcome to you. How is life back in Matilda's camp?
Yeah, it's really good to be back, to be honest. I'm not sure how many people know, but I'm just coming off an injury, so wasn't quite expecting to be back here today, so I'm feeling pretty grateful.
Oh, that's fantastic, Em, and sort of life back in Matilda's camp. But really interested, how are you finding life over in the WSL, and what's the sort of level and standard over there that you've adjusted to?
Yeah, look, to be honest, I was really enjoying it up until my second game when I actually broke my toe. So I've had a good taste, a taste of it so far, but obviously I've had a bit of a tough start. But just in those 2 games, obviously, it's become pretty obvious how the intensity is, how the physicality is, and everything that's involved in the WSL. So that's kind of the reason I wanted to be over there. I think it's a similar style of game to the type of player I am. So, look, I haven't had many games there now because of that unfortunate event, but I'm back on the men now, and I can't wait to get back.
Just remind us, Em, how did you break that toe?
Yeah, not by choice, that's for sure. Look, it was just stupid. It wasn't even my fault. I just turned on the ball, and one of the opposition just came flying straight over me, and just it was hard enough that it just was a clean break. And stupidly enough, I ended up playing the whole 90 minutes and actually scored my first goal on it. So that toe did some wonders for me that day, but then I was out for a long 8 weeks. Yeah.
So I shouldn't be laughing, but that's very impressive, Em. You, of course, were in goal scoring form over in Tokyo. You were part of that successful Olympic team earlier this year, scored against the USA. And I want to ask you about the secret to getting past them. I need to tell you, we've only got still shots of this because we aren't actually allowed to show Olympic vision, but everyone can go to watch it live on YouTube. And that goal was an absolute screamer. What's the secret to scoring against the US?
I mean, it's hard to say that there's a secret. Obviously, they're a top side. I think for me personally, I hadn't had too many minutes in that Olympic campaign, so I had something just to prove to myself and to come on there and do a job for the team. So it was just trying to take in those opportunities with the minutes that I got, and I was feeling pretty confident going into that game, and I just played with a bit of freedom, and that's what got me that goal. But yeah, definitely a tough and physical side to beat, so you have to be, fit, fast, and powerful, and that's what it took to kind of get that goal. So I was happy to get it, but obviously disappointed of the result. So it didn't really feel great at the time, I guess.
Well, hopefully you can go back and watch that one with much admiration, as we all do. And I guess I don't really have so much of a question, but if you could just repeat that in the next couple of games, then that would be lovely. Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah, I'll try my best. Yeah.
Hey, just a question about playing in front of home fans, because there weren't any fans in the stands. Well, not Australian fans in Tokyo. We're hoping to see a record crowd out there on Saturday. How much difference does it make to you as a player to have so many fans out there supporting live?
Yeah, I can't even explain it. It makes a world of difference. It's pretty special to wear the green and gold jersey, but in an empty stadium, it's not an empty feeling, but it's hard. You miss that atmosphere, that passion, that emotion that comes with the crowd. So it just gives us another boost, gives us that energy, and the fact that it's on home soil makes it even more and more special. When you hear the crowd's emotion and the atmosphere, it kind of just puts a bit more of a pep in your step and just gets you a bit more motivated. So it's something that I know we really rely on and we love having. So we're really looking forward to it.
Yeah, plenty going to be out there on Saturday, and of course, great sales underway for McDonald Jones Stadium in Newcastle as well. Before we let you go, and we've got some questions from social media for you. Anthony Hume, what is your go-to music pre-game?
Oh gosh, I mean, I am an old school girl, so I love some throwbacks. But look, I don't mind a bit of Drake. At the moment, there's some Black Magic song that's playing in our change room all the time, so that's in my head. But really, I'm not a one song type of girl. I actually, weirdly enough, listen to this motivation podcast and watch some of my goals back most of the time. But yeah, I'm an all rounder kind of music, as long as it's not heavy metal or nothing too headbanging.
I reckon, given the difference in our ages, your throwback is probably music that was the the top of the pops for me.
I like 80s and 90s. 80s and 90s.
Yeah, as I said.
Love it.
I'm with them on this one.
Yeah.
Maddie Chaso, she's asked advice for young girls wanting to make it into the Matildas. We heard from Remy. What would your advice be?
Yeah, look, I think for me, if I was my younger self, I mean, I feel confident that I did what I did to get here, but it's just to train more than everybody else, to be in love with the game, I'm not ashamed to say that I used to sleep with my soccer ball when I was younger. I still tell people that because that's how much I loved it. I lived and breathed, football, and Matildas were my idol, and that was my dream. So, I was the first one to training and the last one to leave, and sneaking in extra sessions where I could, and, getting that personal training in on the football pitch, that private coaching, just doing everything humanly possible, because it's no secret I don't have all the skills and the talent in the world, but I absolutely worked hard to get here. So that's definitely my biggest advice.
And from Juju Hina, do you eat something special when you're back in Australia?
Everything, unfortunately. I eat too much. Look, if we're talking drinks, everyone knows it's coffee. But in terms of eating something special, I mean, I'm sure you can get smashed avo on toast everywhere in the world, but there's something special, I guess, having it back home in Australia, close to a beach, because I'm not really getting that overseas in Europe right now. Yeah, that's kind of my go-to, but I'm not going to lie. My mum's Croatian, and I'm a sucker for a home-cooked meal, and she's a damn good cook. So all of our home-cooked meals is kind of where the heart hits with that one.
Definitely. And yeah, I know you are all keen to come back here and see some sun, so I'm really sorry that we don't look like turning any on for you while you're here.
It's the worst week of weather that's ever possibly happened to me. I was really looking forward to it, and it's not delivering.
Oh, I really feel for you. Just one final one from Macarolfa, so I think wants you to dish the dirt behind the scenes. Which Matilda is most addicted to their phone?
Actually, she's sitting right here with me in the room. Ellie Carpenter. No. Look, I'm not going to lie. She's one of many. There's a few addicted phone players out there. I'm definitely not one of them. I try and avoid it as much as I can, but we're all suckers for our phone. But yeah, there's a handful, but not to name names. I'm sure. Yeah, you'll see it on social media. Yeah.
100%. And we're glad you've jumped online to join us tonight. Thank you so much for taking that time out of your evening. All the best for the coming week, and congratulations. It's so good to see you back and firing with your toe all in one piece. Thanks so much.
Yeah, thanks so much. Appreciate it, guys.
Well, we are likely to see Em and hopefully Remy and all those other younger faces too out there when Australia take the park. But it's not only Australia, Grace, is it, that's looking to Generation Next. We've seen at the US side, you touched on it before, they've got some newer faces in their squad as well. Who are you looking forward to seeing?
Yeah, they certainly do. There's been a bit of talk around some missing names, those experienced players from the US women's national team, the likes of, Megan Rapinoe, Alex Morgan. But there's some really exciting young talent coming up through the US, and a couple of players in particular that I've got an eye on for these games. One of those is Sophia Smith. She's currently with the Portland Thorns in the NWSL. Really exciting young player. She's an absolute goal scorer in her under-20s campaign with the US women's national team. She just buried a heap. I think she leading goal scorer in that cycle. Fantastic young, exciting player. And at Portland Thorns, she's around the likes of Becky Sauerbrunn and of Lindsay Horan. Like, she's just got this amazing experience around her. And incredible, just a great striker. I think if she gets an opportunity on Saturday evening against the Matildas, she's one that I'm definitely going to have an eye on. But there's so many. There's honestly, they're just this really exciting young crop of US players. Another, Em's just mentioned there, Ellie Carpenter, one of Ellie Carpenter's teammates in Katarina Macario. She's the only player from this squad, this US squad, who isn't in the new NWSL at the moment. So she's over in France and Lyon with Ellie, and she's also a really exciting player and a great midfielder, and I think that's a really nice connection for them to reconnect this side of the hemisphere and teammates, but now enemies perhaps.
Well, it's frightening that you say that about the youngsters in a side like the US, because there's also so many stalwarts, and one of them is the aforementioned captain, Becky Sauerbrunn. Her list of accolades, I was having a look at her, and it's as long as my arm. It just goes forever. All the things she's won, all the personal honours. What makes her so significant, Grace, in a side that's already pretty loaded with stars? She's on something like around 197 caps.
Yeah, that's exactly right. She's on 197 international caps for the US women's national team. She is such a smart player. So she's a central defender for them. She's got a really cool head about her. She's clever. She's a leader. She's been around the NWSL for years. So currently with the Portland Thorns, but also spent a couple of years with the former Utah Royals and Kansas City. And just the experience that she has is perfect to bring these young players in this US side up into the fold. And having someone like Becky Sauerbrunn around, just her mind and her brain, I just can't speak highly enough of her. And I'm really excited to see her on home soil in Australia here.
Yeah, it's going to be hugely exciting, and it was interesting to watch them at the Olympics because I don't think they played to the same standard that we're used to consistently. But you could see what a class side they are. Any lapses in concentration will be pulled up, and given Australia's, let's call them defensive frailties, we've had some challenges in the back line. How do they play at the back? How do you see Tony putting this team out?
Yeah, well, it sort of begs the question now with Alana Kennedy out. There's a solution to be found there, and we've seen a couple of different formations around Tony playing around with a 3 at the back, a 4 at the back, and I think that will dictate the personnel that we find in there. And we've seen in the last couple of Matildas camps, there's been a lot of defenders. So we've seen Angie Beard, we've seen Kylie Ross back and come in, Courtney Nevin. So the question is, do they bring a Catley or a Carpenter more central and then bring in one of those young girls a bit wider? Does Angie Beard look to come in centrally? There's a lot of different variations, a lot of talent there. Tony's got a tough call to make, and against the US women's national team, it's a big spot, and it's you've mentioned the defensive frailties there, and it has to be addressed going into January, going into 2023. But there's a really good talent pool to pick from, so no shortage of quality.
And if we look at the other end of the park, we heard from Remy Siemsen and from Em, who's returning, of course, to the green and gold after her broken toe. What do you see happening at the front? That has got to be the hardest third to break into. We are so blessed with talent. How do you see him working this? Because he does need to give big name experience to some of those players, particularly the younger ones, but he also needs to focus on locking in that side into his process ahead of the Asian Cup, which I didn't count the weeks, but it can't be more than about 6 or 7 weeks away.
Yeah, it's a really important piece of this side, and we know the Matildas are pretty comfortable going forward, and their attacking threats are there, and we mean that from the back of the field as well, because we see Steph Catley and Ellie Carpenter getting forward. But when you've got the likes of Sam Kerr, Mary Fowler, Hayley Raso coming back into the side, you've got Kyra Cooney-Cross pushing up into the midfield, and then you've got these younger girls coming through and just looking to try and get some minutes on the park. Remy Siemsen we just spoke to. I do think players like Remy need some game time, some experience, because leading into January, into 2023, there's not that many international matches to get minutes in their legs at that level. So it's a tough one. They want to get a result. Tony's spoken quite publicly about this game and these games being preparation for a World Cup final. So they're looking for a result. And you think that with that in mind, that he's going to have to put out one of his stronger sides.
You would certainly think so. I love that you mentioned Hayley Raso. What a cracking match she had coming off the bench the other week for Manchester City. Unbelievable. And Sam Kerr, of course, just carving it up still. The WSN on that list for the best female player. So looking forward to seeing the accolades continuing to come for our players. Just a final reminder for everyone, all that on-field action that kicks off this Saturday at 3 p.m. Stadium Australia in Sydney. And then we're off to Newcastle. It's an 8 p.m. kickoff at McDonald Jones Stadium. Get your tickets. Let's get record numbers. Of course, you can see it on Channel 10 Play and Paramount Plus if the borders are still keeping you out. But we've already sold about 18,500 tickets for Newcastle. The previous record there was 16,829. So we've already smashed that. But the record for a Sydney Matildas game is 33,600. That was back at the 2000 Olympics. That was actually a double header with the men's match. But we're less than 5,000 away from breaking that for this standalone match. So please get your tickets, create history. Grace, you'll have accreditation. You won't need to buy a ticket, but it'll be good to see you there. Just tell me, when you said we need a result from this. How important, or what is a good result? Is it a clear win? Is it holding the US scoreless? Would we be happy with a draw? What's your thoughts?
Look, I think if Tony Gustafsson is preparing for this game like it's a World Cup final, you need to be getting a result, as in a win. And if that's what he's preparing for, aiming for, aspiring to achieve, then that's what they're looking to get at the end of the day. I think a really solid performance is going to give a lot of belief to the group, even just to be able to pull some of those things together that you can see they've been practicing for some time. So yes, I think the result's important, but I'd love to see a really complete 90-minute football performance for the Matildas.
And just have your crystal ball out. 2 questions for you. The first one, if he's saying 23 for 23, should all the players in this squad feel pretty comfortable that they are definitely in the frame for 23?
Yeah, look, as a footballer, you never want to be too comfortable and you never want to be too complacent because between now and 2023, there's, 18 months before that tournament, and a lot can happen in those 18 months. We've seen the rise of some of the players that are in the squad now from 18 months ago. So give it another 18 months and those girls will be developing and coming through. Yes, they're in the frame, but they just need to keep pushing, keep performing for the next year and a half.
And stay fit. Hopefully no broken toes or touch wood, any other injuries coming out. Can't wait to see them. Last question for you, Grace. What's the score going to be? Don't sit on the fence.
Look, I'm not going to sit on the fence here. We're going to go, I've got to get behind the Matildas. Home soil advantage, home ground advantage is going to play a huge part. We've mentioned the ticket sales, so we need to get behind that. I think we're going to see a 3-1 Matildas win.
I'll back you on that one, Grace Gill. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Thanks for your insights. We're looking ahead to a couple of exciting days. To all of you at home, thank you so much for watching. Enjoy the matches and go the Tillies. Good night.
Is there across the face, and there is Claire Polkinghorne to jam it over the line. Crossing, and Fowler in the back of the net, and it's 2 for Australia.